in a life that starts and ends on the level of the world, we should learn how to build the civilization of the human being. Once again, to direct the sight of the a mountain in Sinai Peninsula that we should affirm before it is written on its bricks, amongst the 10 words, that the Almighty God loves the life and the human being, and affirm strongly and always that there is no place for violence, but it is the main goal for peace and love. All these is the religions the violence isn't justified. Violence is just a denial of any real religion. Because the religious men are responsible, so we are responsible of exposing the violence that present itself under the umbrella of religion. We should expose its reality that would call for selflessness, and we are invited to reject hatred of the human rights. We should expose any picture of hatred that contradict the reality of and the truth of all religions. The Almighty God is the God of peace. Therefore, we cannot justify any form of violence in the name of Allah, the Almighty God, altogether. And from this land that resembling the meeting of land and the sky, we should repeat our rejections, such a clear rejection of any form of violence, revenge and hatred that is committed in the name of Allah or the religion. Altogether, we affirm and assert that the non-resemblance of religious and hatred, we should affirm the divine of human being life, a way for physical, educational or moral violence. A faith that is born of not a real love before the Almighty God is such just a social or rather spiritual joining to freedom. A human being should be grown based on the doctrine of loving each other. So a religion isn't invited just to expose the devil or the evil state, but yet it is invited to spread and disseminate the peace. not to not avoiding the points or mediums that pursue the tolerance. We should pray from the Almighty God to grant us the bliss of peace, to enable us for a dialogue to reach cooperation and friendship. We, as Christians, as I am, we cannot pray the Almighty God without behaving as a human before the other human being, before the image of the Almighty God. We are a brotherhood for everyone. More than that, we should admit that we are joined together to confront the evil that is fighting the whole world in order to stop them from a dissemination throughout the whole earth. The path of tolerance is widely open before all human beings. In order to achieve such a universal brotherhood, such efforts are necessarily such raising the voice or just amen do not serve ourselves. We should be the peacemakers. We are today in dire need to make the peace, not just to triggering the conflicts. We should be the advocates of tolerance, not to disseminate the destruction. We are witnessing that we are, from one hand, we are away of the reality of the people in the names of goals that away from the facts of the people through demagogism that do not assist the enhancing peace and stability, do not or urging the violence, do not assist the dissemination of the peace. A violent advocacy is a factor that just a factor that assists and support the fundamentalists to avoid such a conflict. So it is essential to cooperate to end the poverty and exploitation to where the fundamentalism is established and growing. The flow of money and finance is encouraging violence. Also, originally, we should confront the armed trafficking because one day they are used whenever they are actually manufactured. We should spread the factors that assist of the dissemination of war cancer or war tumor. Based on such a commitment, we are responsible, as well as the media and political apparatus. We are, as the responsible of advocating for the Almighty God, we are inviting from each of us in its field and arena. We are inviting to spread the process of the peace. We are we should pursue to spread the brotherhood and peace among the people. We hope that a peaceful Egypt, I pray to the Almighty God to accept our prayers for the sakeness of civilization and brotherhood, and to give us the support in making the peace for the sakeness of such a kind people, and for the sakeness of the people of the Middle East. And peace be upon you all.
لا